leaders shrugged off trade tensions and steel stocks soared after President Trump announced 50% tariffs. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers and Angels pulled out close wins in the 10th inning last night. The Dodgers got a walk-off double from Freddie Freeman in the 10th to beat the New York Mets 6-5. The Angels held on for a 4-3 win at Boston. The Angels are a game above 500 on the road. Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys in 3 sets to advance to the French Open semifinals for the 3rd time in her career. The 21-year-old African-American tennis star is aiming for her first French Open title. She finished second in 2022. The French Open semifinals are Thursday. Entertainment mogul Byron Allen is giving a boost to the HBCU Las Vegas Football Classic featuring Grambling and Jackson State. Allen has agreed to use one of his media properties, HBCU Go TV, to broadcast and stream the game live. Grambling and Jackson State play in Vegas on Saturday, October 25th at Allegiant Stadium, home of the NFL Las Vegas Raiders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint!
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hello. Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say.
Let's do this.
Let's get it on!
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Baby.
KBLA Talk 1580, 4th anniversary time, y'all. That's Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, by the way. The project is called Race Music 21. We're going to be speaking with Dr. Ramsey momentarily in our celebration of Black Music Month. But I want to remind you, it's 4 years since we went on the air. Our anniversary is Juneteenth. It's right around the corner. And we're having 4 events to celebrate 4 years. Those events are all free, but we would like you to register. They're starting to get filled up. I want to make sure there's a seat for you, especially, of course, at the one I'm hosting, which is the State of Black Women in LA. It's going to be a luncheon, a couple of panel discussions. We'll be broadcasting on the radio. We'll be streaming video, and we will have some informal roundtable conversations afterwards. KBLA1580.com is where you can register. That's where you could register for our barbecue. We're collecting gift cards there for folks who are still displaced. So we need food gift cards, either restaurants or stores, grocery stores. And we're going to give them to folks who are still displaced and struggling after the Eaton Altadena fires. Bring what you can. Join us for, yes, a free lunch, a barbecue, and all of most of your air personalities from KBLA Talk 1580 will be there to talk and hang out with you. We're also sponsoring the Empowerment Congress along with Tavis Smiley hosting a Climate Justice Summit on C-SPAN, to which all are welcoming you for free at KBLA1580.com. I'm excited to celebrate Black Music Month. We're starting a few days late here, but never too late, with a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He's a music historian, a pianist, a composer, and a professor emeritus of music at the University of Pennsylvania. He's a widely published writer, the author of Race Music, Black Cultures from Bebop to Hip Hop, and The Amazing Bud Powell, Black Genius, Jazz History, and the Challenge of Bebop. He is also one of those rare professors and academic scholars who is an active musician with his own band, producing his own albums, as a producer, a label head, and the leader of the band Dr. Guy's Musicology. Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, welcome.
Thank you. Happy African American Music Appreciation Month, as it is officially called.
Is that the actual name of it?
Yes, since 2009, I think, when President Obama changed the name from Black Music Month to African American Music Appreciation Month. How about that?
That is interesting. Does that mean we're not celebrating like Black traditions from from other countries now? We're just only celebrating Black American music?
You know, that's a very, very good question. I think that originally the idea was to focus on African American music, meaning music by Black people who reside in the United States proper.
Yeah.
But I think that we can always expand it.
Well, when you talk about Black American or African American music, we also reflect a lot of those traditions right in our music. I mean, from the diaspora, right? It's you don't have to go back to Africa or necessarily or Brazil. A lot of those ancestral notes are in there.
Absolutely. And not only that, more importantly, the contemporary scene is full of many musical conversations from Black people and others from around the globe. So we don't have to keep digging in the past to find the relevance of the African diaspora. It's with us, today.
When you say musical conversations, give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, if you would look, during the pandemic, just to use one example, I got into this, into Nollywood, the Nigerian popular films from Nigeria. And it's very clear in the musical scores that in contemporary Nigeria, there is a very strong conversation between African American musical forms and not only contemporary musical forms from Nigeria, but their historical forms as well. So, for instance, the ne'er-do-well son in many of those formulaic films was always an aspiring rapper in the American. So that's to just use one example that, we're all aware of each other's traditions.
Yeah, it's giving Killmonger in the Panther.
Absolutely.
The terrible one is always us. I don't know if I love that, but really is. But and now we're having debate. Now we're having an internal debate about the origins. At least some folks are online about the origins of hip hop and rap, and that prodigal son, musically, symbolically, and literally within the families, because more modern scholars, well, I won't say modern scholars. Some scholars really emphasize the role of, Caribbean and Latin Americans in the development of hip hop, and others feel like it's Black American music, and that taking it out of its American roots is a means of robbing Black Americans of credit for another whole genre.
Well, debates are going to be ongoing as long as people have opinions, and informed or uninformed, you're going to have some debates. But the historical fact is that historically, the establishment of the Black population in the United States has always dealt with this infusion, this circulation of people from the Caribbean. So I don't understand we can certainly keep our distinctions. This is what makes us us. But to ignore the constant flow since the 19th century and perhaps before, I'm not an expert on this, but there's always been this infusion of Caribbean elements in Black culture in the United States. All you have to do is to look in the modern history of jazz and its emergence in this collision of cultures that was in New Orleans in the early 20th century. And it's just very clear that we've always had an eclectic profile. And even if you think about what was going on in the South Bronx in the late 1970s, if you look at the Black populations of New York, it's a very diverse, including many groups from Africa and the Caribbean. So to kind of seal off African American culture as if it's exceptional and distinct from all the other Black peoples who have been cheek to jowl with us, it's kind of silly.
We heard one track. We started off with one track called "It's a Vibe" off your latest album. Race Music 21. What does that mean? And tell us about what we just heard.
Race Music 21 is my latest album that dropped in February, and it is a celebration of my book, Race Music, which came out in 2003. And the album was completed last year, which would be the 21st anniversary of the book. It's all grown and sexy now. And I wanted to just acknowledge that the book happened, that it was influential, and many of the themes of community and intergenerational sharing of musical and cultural resources is alive and well in the album.
Talking with Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, we're going to hear more of that music. I've got questions. If you do, give us a call, 800-920-1580. We're getting musically more sophisticated, more smart as we celebrate African American Music Appreciation Month on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love, now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We were jumping giants on Kerbal Street, shifting low-lying leaves with folded clotheslines, double-dutching church girls with attitudes, Monday through Friday. Double-dutching street johns converge, all singing, challenge, challenge, 1, 2, 3. A warning call from the little sisters sang sweetly, Bollies and barrettes clapping in the evening sun, making polyrhythms. The remix. This mecca of girlhood accented by radio waves. WJJZ 106.1 blasting from the kitchen window. Al Green from the bedroom above. Streetlights slowly calling us home. No heroes to be found in the land of daughters. Mama's gun stay cocked and loaded. Don't play about her energy, don't play about her bread. Snapbacks and tattoos, earrings and apple bottoms, building yours and we're our freest self on Sunday morning. You can't mess with us here. We leave all our fears to burn and die between the chords pressed on Sarah Vaughan's piano. Daughter of freedom, planes and rings inscripted on arms long as corn stalks. Hair adorned with cowrie shells, feet of brass. You are your ancestors reborn, a monument, proud and true, a blood-filled, spirited representation of time, passing, owning, staying still, slipping. Ebony eyes deep and glassy, gaze holding back tongues. Daughter of freedom, you are planted here, roots unmoving by grandma's house on the hill. Bless this child.
KBLA Talk 1580. That's Transitions. Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, the producer of that piece. He's a music historian, a label head, a leader of a band. He's got film documentaries. The man is prolific. Talk about what we just heard.
Yeah, hey.
Dr. Ramsey, what are we listening to right now?
This song is called Transitions, and it is a piece in which I collaborate with a former undergraduate student of mine, Jaleesa Savage. And it's in the spoken word tradition that Philadelphians love, where I'm talking to you from right now. And it's a piece, I've developed this beat and sent it to Jaleesa, and afterwards she write to it. And she explained to me before the session that she had a lot of nervousness about it. She didn't know if what she had written fits into the larger theme of the album. And of course it did. Sometimes you just have to, yeah, man, she really killed that too, just talking about the double Dutch tradition that many young Black girls participate in Philadelphia, and just paying homage to as she called them, the Giants on Kerbal Street, which is in North Philly.
Well, congratulations on this album and the commemoration of your book. You got a bunch of books and a documentary. One of the pieces that you co-authored with Samuel Floyd and Melanie Zeck, there's the transformation of Black music, the rhythms, the songs, and the ships of the African diaspora. So between various writings that you have, you've taken us all the way from the ships to hip hop. And I wonder how you're receiving the impact of the film Sinners and the sort of renewed interest in the blues that has come from that.
Well, I love the fact that a film could start a conversation about one of the historical genres that African Americans have contributed to the musical landscape of this country. And I couldn't wait to see it because I was reading all of the commentary first, I couldn't make it the first week, but I was reading about it, and the debates and mostly how people have fallen in love with the idea that the blues would be a central character, if you will, in the film. So I had a lot of anticipation going in, and it's really not fair as a music historian to put a date up as in the lower third. So, Clarksville, Mississippi, 1932, all of a sudden the historian in me is going to have certain expectations for what I hear and what I experience. And while there were some things I wanted a little more in a popular representation of the blues, I felt that it was a powerful soundtrack. And let's see, how can I put this delicately? What I found missing was the idea that it was, in fact, the blues women of the 1920s, like Bessie Smith, Mamie Smith, Ma Rainey, who actually popularized the blues first before the men who were represented in the film, who began to be recorded after 1932 and after the women of the mid-20s, but who were rewritten into the narrative as the originators.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. There was one person on the show last week that said something similar, who's not a musician but a feminist, and saying she felt there was an erasure of the contribution of Black women and also LGBTQ plus people to the blues vibe and the blues popularization.
Oh, absolutely, because some of the well-known names of the women, who were most famous for it were, in fact, bisexual. And you don't look. Here's my issue is that you can forward any kind of musical narrative you want to make your film powerful, and however you interpret that is fine. I just get uncomfortable when people accept your artistic invention and as historical truth.
Yeah, which often happens because we don't always, because people aren't historians, we don't read enough. So, well, pick up one of Dr. Ramsey's books. That would be a good companion. It's funny, though, because you call out the date, and that's what triggers the conversation. Because you know where we were in the timeline of blues in 1932, and that's what it sounds like. That's what you're responding to, also.
Absolutely, and it wasn't my decision to throw the date up there.
You didn't have to do it.
It didn't really. I guess, yeah, he didn't really have to do that. But what I hear Brian Coogler doing is responding to his memories of his childhood and the idea of tradition that was presented to him, that he was feeling like it was a very powerful part of the narrative he wanted to tell. And like I said, I don't attend movies, but and listen to soundtracks as history. I look at it as an artistic invention.
Yeah.
Yes, so you
it makes sense. And I understand that he was on that Devil at the Crossroads stuff, which was, usually those tales are about guitar players selling their souls to be great and how that fits in with the horror movie narrative. But it's nice to remember, and I don't know that it would have had to be, it'd have to veer from the narrative to remember the powerful women influences, the powerful women pioneers, really, of that genre.
Absolutely. And also, I would say in the film, the church was represented as the foil of the blues.
Ah.
And the tradition that, when the preacher, when the musicians who would eventually become Buddy Guy, in the film, was in this argument with his father about whether he was going to play the devil's music or not. I understand those distinctions were placed on the secular and sacred traditions, but in fact, if you attended one of those country churches, they would have been juking harder than the people in the club, because that's where the juke came from. Is from those religious traditions.
Absolutely.
They would have been stomping and moving something up in that church.
Dr. Guthrie Ramsey is my guest. News, traffic, and sports, then more. Black Music Month when we continue.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Local and federal authorities say they busted one of Seattle, Washington's biggest drug rings. 14 people were indicted after wiretaps tracked drugs coming from out of state.
We were able to expand our investigation from the drug distributors up to their sources of supply to cut off the flow of dangerous drugs into the Pacific Northwest and Washington State.
FBI Special Agent in Charge Mike Harrington says 11 were arrested. Agents seized fentanyl, meth, heroin, cocaine, and 17 guns. Rite Aid plans to shutter more than 300 of its stores. This comes after the drugstore chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last month. The newly planned closures are in addition to the more than 100 that Rite Aid announced last month. And new music from DMX is here. His estate just dropped Bring Out the Worst, featuring Joyner Lucas, the first single from a posthumous upcoming album called DMX Features, due out this summer. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tether?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers and Angels pulled out close wins in the 10th inning last night. The Dodgers got a walk-off double from Freddie Freeman in the 10th to beat the New York Mets 6-5. The Angels held on for a 4-3 win at Boston. The Angels are a game above 500 on the road. Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys in 3 sets to advance to the French Open semifinals for the 3rd time in her career. The 21-year-old African-American tennis star is aiming for her first French Open title. She finished second in 2022. The French Open semifinals are Thursday. Entertainment mogul Byron Allen is giving a boost to the HBCU Las Vegas Football Classic featuring Grambling and Jackson State. Allen has agreed to use one of his media properties, HBCU Go TV, to broadcast and stream the game live. Grambling and Jackson State play in Vegas on Saturday, October 25th at Allegiant Stadium, home of the NFL Las Vegas Raiders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Jam and Toast. It's from the new album by Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, Race Music 21, out now on all platforms. Dr. Ramsey is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, a music historian, pianist, composer, and professor emeritus of music at the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Ramsey, we've got Randy from Watts on the phone. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Dominique and Dr. Ramsey. When it comes to black music and the message, yeah, it's a beautiful one here in Los Angeles. It is. What do you think? How many messages in the movie centers when it comes to black music, our heritage, voodoo, vampires, and all of the other madness of Mississippi? I can remember I had a grandfather that played the fiddle, and I thought it was strange. But when we see that here in 2025 and brings back those pieces of memories of our music and our culture, what do you think about the movie centers? What message is it sending?
Good morning. Thank you for the question. Well, there are so many messages packed in that film. And the more commentary I read, the more I see the range of interpretations and literary intertextualities and musical, things that people are seeing in the film. So there's something in there for everybody. Now, in terms of the elements of the paranormal that you recognize in the film, the thing about the musical growth of African American music in the United States, it was founded in the paranormal, was founded in this idea that one could connect with the other world through music, that music would be the conduit. If you look at the early situation of the ring shout, that religious ceremony that united different African groups into a single African American identity. That is historically a very important dance in the circle, and one-upsmanship and individuality within collectivity, and the shouting and the volume and the thing that those in the arbor churches, the invisible churches that lasted all night long, those were about connecting to the other world, moving into the elsewhere and hiding the messages of freedom and liberation seeking. So I don't think it's a stretch to think about, for me, I experienced the vampires in the film centers as representations of the music industry.
Yeah. We want your stories. We want your stories. We want your songs. Sign here.
Yeah, sign here. Yes. So, that part of the film kind of made sense to me if I looked at it that way. And then when when they started doing the dancing with the fiddles, I looked at it as the river dance, Elvis doing the river dance, moment as this idea that, first of all, I'm not a person who believes that Black musicians are not trying to share their music, and they've always been trying to share their music. They've never cut themselves off and said that we only want Black people to hear and purchase this music.
Or even play it.
Or even play it. The problem comes when there are uneven financial benefits to doing this. And so that has been the problem. I have never met nor read about a Black musician who did not want their music shared and enjoyed widely.
Yeah. Well, you're a label head, but you also function, as a small independent. in this atmosphere now with streaming and sort of the seemingly endless consolidation. How does that impact, that model that you're talking about when we say, oh, we want your stories, we want your music, but also the uneven compensation and benefit from the culture itself?
Well, that's been part of our tradition, is to find these workarounds,
right?
To get these to get the equality in the financial benefits. Now, as an independent record label, the emphasis. First of all, I can't fight the system. I have to work in what I'm given. And I believe that where musicians need to focus is to use their recordings to draw people into the live musical experience and get them to focus on building rooms where you make yourself attractive to both the venue owner and to audiences, and work around the mainstream music industry if you're not one of the fortunate ones. The idea that you can have someone like Beyonce, who has been supremely successful in the music industry to the extent that she can have a flying El Dorado her live show, and just have that be like every day. You know what I mean? Who can compete with that? We can't just stop doing what we're doing, but we can do it on the scale that we can. We can reach people locally where we are and get them to support us like that.
Mm. Yeah. So, speaking of Beyonce, I have to at least touch on this. And you also mentioned the idea of musicians wanting to share their music, not just to share it for you to enjoy it, but also for everyone to play it. That may stand in contrast to some people's conversation about musical appropriation, cultural appropriation. Talk a little bit, if you would, about the controversy surrounding Cowboy Carter, which he's on tour with right now, and this idea of black people in the country music space, which Beyonce is far from the only one.
Well, first of all, the idea of separating genres into marketing categories was it began in earnest in the mid-20s, where you had record executives doing demographic research to see how they could target various audiences separated by perceived notions of race, to efficiently separate people from their money by targeting certain records to that community and convincing them, or trying to convince them, that this music was for them and them alone. It never really worked, because you could separate physical bodies by law, but you could not separate the airwaves and what people were attracted to and what they could hear. So it's never really been fool's proof. People just continue to dibble and dabble and listen across racial lines. And so it's been mostly trying to keep up the fallacy that only white people made country and western, and only black people made the blues and all that. And then you look at the historical facts, it's actually there's a lot more interracial intimacy in terms of musical listening habits than the music industry is willing to admit, because that model of separation is a very powerful one, and it's a very lucrative one. Now enter a major pop star like Beyonce, who's, by virtue only of the fact of our perceived notions of her phenotype as a black woman, people would try to tell her what she can and cannot play and can and cannot do musically. It's just D-U-M-B.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's like Fahima says in the chat, she's from Texas. Beyonce's from Texas. She grew up in the black rodeo. She country.
Yeah. I mean, and the only way that doesn't make sense is if you have a vested interest in protecting this idea of racial purity as being expressed in musical categories and genre. And I have to say, when I hear the Cowboy Carter album, to me it sounds like standard pop music with a country repertoire.
What is race music, Dr. Ramsey?
Race music was a category of music that, again, in this paradigm of the record executives targeting black communities, the term was used, race music was the term that was used that labeled the black music for black people model. So it was borrowed from the notion that African Americans were called at that time. The common name was the race. And so consequently, if you were a race man or a race woman, that means you were an activist in the community. It was a positive designation. So the record industry just used that popular name to label their financial efforts.
Talking with Dr. Guthrie Ramsey in celebration of African American Music Appreciation Month, as I now correctly shall call it, as designated by President Obama. And as part of that, we're exploring his latest album called Race Music 21, which is a tribute to his book, of which there are many actually. Dr. Guthrie Ramsey, we continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Blue Note by Tsitsi Ella Jaji. Lord, make me an instrument. I am no fool. make us whole. Make it night time, the right time to turn spiritual. Lord, all the balm I have is me.
Dr. Guthrie Ramsey is our guest. That from the new album, Race Music 21, out now. And Dr. Ramsey, how do we get a hold of that music if we want to buy it? Miles Lowe, our production coordinator around here, who's also a rap artist, keeps telling me buy directly from the artist, don't just stream. How do we support you?
You can find that album on Bandcamp, and you can purchase it on Apple Music. And the thing about Bandcamp, you can use the donation model too, you know, and if you just can't happen to afford it, you are free to listen to it according to your budget. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Well put. Well said. Tell me what you think about the rise of the Jazz Festival. The Jazz Festival is such a popular thing right now, and it seems to include a lot of different kinds of music. The term jazz is used rather loosely. Is this a good thing, or is it a watering down of the culture? How do you see it?
Well, I think nothing stays the same. And the thing about musicians, they are always seeking out new audiences. They're always, if they're smart, they are trying to reach the audience that is still breathing oxygen and not historical ones that can no longer hear them. So that's the beautiful thing about it, that things keep moving. The last jazz festival that I attended was the Montreal Jazz Festival in Montreal, obviously last year and last summer. And there was a lot of genre mixing, and some of the highlights for me was a band called Butcher Brown from Richmond, Virginia, and they, you know, do this eclectic mix that we hear now.
Yeah, they were on my show once. They're really interesting.
Oh my God, man, I love them. I saw Robert Glasper, I saw Corey Henry, I saw Hiatus Coyote, and all those bands I named are people who, Joel Ross, the vibraphonist, they're all mixing in the music that their generation experienced, and they're not playing music that one would have heard in 1950 in the same way.
Right.
So I personally don't have a problem with traditions changing and expanding, because that's what CDs and LPs are for. You can go and listen to what was going on in the 1960s, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But you also want to have musicians who are not being contained by music industry boundaries, music industry imposed boundaries, to kind of police their musicianship and creativity.
For people who are feeling adventurous or just want to expand their catalog, their knowledge, right now in celebration of this month of African American music appreciation, what would you point them to?
I guess I would. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see, where would I point them? Because I tend to just be all over. And although I understand the critique of streaming,
yeah,
the AI generated algorithms are also a very good research model or research mechanism to discover things that you would not have otherwise known about. And then you do what I do. You learn about a group, and then you just don't stop at the streaming. You attend their show and pay them money to do their thing for you. And then it's ultimately, I mean, that's the thing about music, is that it is something that humans do to create social bonds with other humans. And you can do that best in the same room with them and not just listening to them disembodied on your device.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, when you stream, say you go and stream Butcher Brown or you stream Dr. Guy's Musicology, then you're going to end up getting a bunch of similar or related acts, and you will expand your portfolio of what you like, and that's always a good thing. We've got a minute here. Dr. Ramsey, what would you like to leave us with?
Well, I love the idea of celebrating, using a month, the designated month to celebrate African American music or any cultural form. This is also Pride Month, and we just left Poetry Month and Women's Month and all of that. I love those designations, but if you're like me, you just use every day of the year to celebrate and acknowledge what you love and what you think the world needs to know more about. And so these designations are good prompts, but we can't stop there. We have to just keep it up 365, because people are actually trying to stomp us out of the narrative.
Yeah.
So we need to just come on stronger.
Yeah. Well said, Dr. Guthrie Ramsey. So thank you so much for spending the hour with me. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome.
And I think that that is exactly where we are. I've noticed I'm leaning more and more on music to keep my moods strong, to keep motivated and stay fearless in our current environment. So I remind you, I urge you to do the same. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got an incredible show on deck for you today, as usual. Like my mama, the great Diane DiPrima, used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now.
I spent so much time fixing the governor's mess. If you look at a lot of the energy that I had to do,